$180,000 a year, depending on where you live, is a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount of money in New York or LA, but in many, many other places in the country, it can give you a little bit of wiggle room. And a lot of us, when we're going through this process of trying to trim expenses, we tackle the small stuff. We look at the subscriptions, we look at the takeout, we look at the Ubers. But when it doesn't work to tackle the small stuff, we have to tackle the big stuff. We got to look at where are we living and can we live somewhere cheaper? Yeah. We have to look at, we're driving 2 cars. Can we get rid of one of them?
Or how do we earn more money too?
Yeah.
Are we being undercompensated? Do we know that we're being undercompensated? Is it time to ask for a raise? Is it time to switch jobs? I think that for me, at least, it's a lot easier, especially if you've cut a lot of the stuff. It's a lot easier to earn more money than it is to cut more.
Hey everyone, it's Jean Chatzky. Welcome to Her Money. Today we have a very special mailbag episode. We're so excited to be joined once again by the fabulous Tori Dunlap. If you caught our Wednesday episode, you know it was powerful. We talked about how Tori built her wealth, how she spends joyfully and unapologetically, and what financial feminism really looks like in 2025. So today, Tori is back with us to dig into your money dilemmas. How much is it worth for a premium travel card? What to do if you've paid thousands towards your debt, but it still feels like nothing, and more. Tori, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Our first question comes from an anonymous listener. She writes, I'm really embarrassed about where we are right now, but I am out of ideas. We have about $100,000 in credit card debt. We've changed our habits, made a budget, cut out the extras. Since the start of the year, we've paid almost $30,000 toward it using the avalanche method, but with high interest rates, the balance has only gone down by about $16,000. We've been denied for a HELOC and a personal loan due to a high debt-to-income ratio. Most consolidation offers we're seeing are over 20%, and some have fees that make them worse than where we are now. Bankruptcy's not an option. I'm trying to protect my credit in case I leave this relationship. We make almost $180,000 a year and our credit scores are over 700. I want to breathe again. Is there anything else we can do?
Oh, you gave me a stinker of a question, Jean. Okay, first of all, to your listener, I just want to say that I know it feels like you're drowning. This would be a lot for anybody. So I need you to give yourself a shit ton of grace. And shame is not helpful, or it would have worked by now. So if you feel any shame, if you feel any judgment towards yourself, we have to just say it is what it is and working to find a solution. You've done, first of all of the things I would have tried. So personal loans with hopefully a lesser interest rate to help consolidate, putting money towards the debt, definitely. The fact that you have over a 700 plus credit score, but that you're not qualifying for the personal loans tells me, I think that it's just the amount of debt, that $100K in debt, that's not qualifying you for those. If you can find a personal loan with more favorable terms, I don't think that would be a bad idea, because credit card debt is accruing and earning interest daily, right? That's part of why it feels like it just keeps getting deeper. The sand keeps going in the holes. The personal loans are one flat monthly payment, and it's one flat interest rate. It's not accruing daily. I think this is a great time, if you haven't done so already, to make a few phone calls. Is it calls to your credit card company and telling them, hey, this is the reality. This is where I'm at. I'm very financially overwhelmed. I'm not able to do anything. Is there a 0% offer that you could give me for a period of time? Can you lower my interest rate? Is there anything that you can do to help accommodate me during financial hardship?
So I'm thinking about credit counseling, because the credit counseling, it is a lot. The credit counseling industry can immediately lower your interest rates, probably to around 6%. They're going to make you stop using your credit cards, but again, you'll make one payment a month. It takes a while to get through credit counseling, and because it takes a while, like 3 to 4 years usually to come out the other side, a lot of people don't go for it. But you don't have to put all your debts into it. You can put in only the ones that you choose to put in. which might mean those with the very highest interest rates. So I might think about that. Your credit score will take, though, a hit if you do it, because it does show up on your credit score. So just know that going in. The other thing I would think is maybe if you're not a member of a credit union, you should go to a credit union and talk to someone at that credit union and explain what's going on and see if you can get a lower interest rate credit card for them. Because at credit unions, you're often not just a number. You can be a person.
I would also say, too, if you do not have an emergency fund, I know it seems counterintuitive to say, okay, I'm not going to contribute money towards my debt and I'm going to put it in savings first. But if you're having the issue of every time, okay, you put $30K towards your debt, I think you said last year, which is significant. That's a lot of money. If the issue is I keep going into credit card debt because I don't have an emergency fund, shit keeps coming up, I got laid off or something happened with the car, I had to fix the house. It's like the problem might be, okay, I'm continuing to accumulate debt, which feels more overwhelming and adding to the balance. So it might be worth it, even though it seems counterintuitive, to say, okay, I'm going to at least get 3 months of living expenses in a high yield savings account set aside for emergencies. So it's there so I don't have to keep, again, digging the hole further down because I'm just putting those expenses on a credit card.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And last point, then we'll go to the next question. $180,000 a year, I mean, depending on where you live, is a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount of money in New York or LA, but in many, many other places in the country, it can give you a little bit of wiggle room. And a lot of us, when we're going through this process of trying to trim expenses, we tackle the small stuff. We look at the subscriptions, we look at the takeout, we look at the Ubers. But when it doesn't work to tackle the small stuff, we have to tackle the big stuff. We got to look at where are we living and can we live somewhere cheaper? Yeah. We have to look at, we're driving 2 cars, can we get rid of one of them?
Or how do we earn more money too? Like, how are we being undercompensated? Do we know that we're being undercompensated? Is it time to ask for a raise? Is it time to switch jobs? I think that for me, at least, it's a lot easier, especially if you've cut a lot of the stuff. It's a lot easier to earn more money than it is to cut more.
Yeah. So a menu of things, but let us know if you feel like dropping us a note how it went.
Keep your head up too.
Yeah. Next question from Tina. She says, there has been a huge price hike. Oh, Tori, we were just talking about this. There's been a huge price hike on the premium credit card I use. Which one could that be? I got one when I was younger and childless and traveling a ton, but times have changed, and that's a ridiculous fee. Can I downgrade my card and keep the line of credit consistent? How do I know when a credit card fee is really worth it? So I'm going to direct you, Tina, to the episode that we just taped with Tori because we talked about this in depth. But let's answer the last part of this question. How do you know when the fee is worth it?
Yeah. I think annual fees scare everybody, right? You see the $500, $800 annual fee and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to pay $800 for a credit card. But they're actually really fantastic tools if you're using them. I get more than enough benefit for most of my cards. And again, we talked about this in the episode of what cards I need to change, but I get more than enough benefit from that card with a hefty annual fee that it pays for itself. So I think when you start figuring out, this card is costing me more than it's benefiting me, that's where we want to potentially downgrade. And it sounds like your life is different now. That's a really great opportunity to audit what is in your wallet, but also just generally, what do I need? What kind of support do I want from a credit card?
And it's really, really personal. I just added the Amtrak card to my wallet, which sounds like a ridiculous credit card. But I was traveling back and forth to New York from Philadelphia once or twice a week for a couple of years. And I racked up a lot of Amtrak reward points very, very quickly, enough to get me comped into the metropolitan lounges. And the one at Moynihan, which is the new Penn Station in New York City, is lovely. I was using it as my WeWork. I would just schedule meetings and have people come and see me and get a free cup of coffee. And I stopped doing it as much. And they basically said, yeah, you don't have enough points to qualify, but they were offering a 40,000 point bonus if you spent $3,000 within the first 3 months on this credit card, which was easy enough for me to do. Great. So I got the card, I got the 40,000 bonus. It doesn't get me back in the clubs, but you can use the points for admission to the club. So this essentially gets me like 30 free visits to the Metropolitan Club, which is going to be enough to sustain me for a year-ish.
Yeah.
And totally, totally worth it. Much, much cheaper than a WeWork. So you got to do your own calculus. Finally, we've got a question from Allie, who's asking about savings benchmarks. When you and Fidelity talk about retirement benchmarks, are those numbers based only on invested assets, or do they include net worth? I'm 52, and between investments and real estate equity, our net worth is around $4 million. $2 million of that is in investments. We've got very little debt. So are we ahead of the benchmark or behind it? Also, my partner is 56. Do we average our ages to figure out how we're doing as a couple? So it's so funny. Tori and I just taped her show, which I hope that you'll all tune in and listen to. We were talking about the retirement benchmarks, and I can't actually answer whether you are ahead of the benchmark or behind it because you didn't tell me how much you are earning. And the benchmarks are, you want to have 1 times your income at age 30, 3 times at 40, 6 times at 50, 8 times at 60, and 10 times by the time that you retire. But we need to know what your income is in order to know. It is not necessarily your real estate. And the reason it's not your real estate is that you still need a place to live once you retire, unless it's an investment property. But how do you think about benchmarking your way to retirement?
I think that this is one of the places, I don't know if we'll disagree, but I don't rely on benchmarks as much. I think because a lot of women in our audience are kind of starting their financial journeys, and benchmarks just make them feel like shit. Unfortunately, I think everybody loves a good benchmark. And I think also it's very easy to read a benchmark and immediately get discouraged because you're like, I'm nowhere close. So why even try? The thing I always say is that if you're using benchmarks, again, in a way that feels helpful and a way that feels encouraging, great. And if they do just make you feel down on yourself, find something else, right? Find another marker of success for you. Is it your savings rate? That is, very personal to you. Is it just that, your general disposition around money? Is it like, wow, money doesn't scare me anymore, and I use it as a tool and as an asset? So those are some of the things that I focus on more with my audience because they tend to be younger, tend to be more beginner. I think that the one benchmark I use personally and that I teach is like sticky numbers. And what I mean by that is like, if you're trying to figure out like how much do I save without also depriving myself, it should feel a little sticky, meaning, okay, I'm not buying everything I want, but I'm also not depriving myself. So I'm going out to eat twice a week. 3 times would be a little much, but like 2 feels challenging, or 20% of my savings rate or 10%, that feels challenging, but it doesn't mean that I can never, ever have fun again. So that's the kind of benchmark. And it's, again, hyper personal, but that I use both in my life and that I use with our community.
I love that. A sticky number. We're going to have to add that to the vocabulary. Tori, thanks for coming back to answer questions. Always great to see you. Where should people go to hear more?
Thanks for having me. HerFirst100K.com/quiz gives you a free personalized money plan for wherever you're at in your financial journey. But you can also find me at HerFirst100K on our website or socials. Would love to see you.
Thanks so much.